Hi, this is the June 14th Jupyter Dev meeting. I'm Jamie, and this last week I've been working with Fernando and Brian on more project structure, project management, workflow issues, I suppose. And we're looking to do in the near future a triage of some of the notebook issues for critical bug fixes. So there should be more information about that at our next step meeting.
Okay, so this is Peter Parenti. My video is not working today. So this week we're looking to, over in the dashboard projects, to release a new version of the dashboard extension, actually the piece that plugs into the notebook, following the new metadata spec that we put out a couple weeks ago now. This is meant to be some of the cleanup of the evolutionary metadata that we've sort of been figuring out as we went along with the dashboards and having this, one break with the past. We actually do have the extension up converting the old metadata format. We've documented all over on the wiki. If anyone has comments on it, obviously we'll take those. I think I included the link a couple weeks ago too. But we're gonna, planning on cutting that release unless we find some major showstopper. And of course, because we're changing extension with the new metadata format, we got to update the dashboard server, which reads it too, and so on. So just doing a series of releases. I think at that point, it's a good time to actually start considering graduating the dashboards extension out of the incubator. I want to put the proposal out, by Friday, Monday, something like that, just so folks can start looking at, what we've got, look at the metadata spec, look at what's there, what's not there, and we can start the conversation, right? Other than that, just minor issues, kernel gateway, they've sort of been collecting slowly, so I want to take a pass through those and just fix them. They're mostly simple things. And just a heads up that PyData Carolinas is in September. IBM's actually hosting it here in RTP. And a couple of us working on the dashboards work submitted a tutorial about, Jupyter dashboards. So that's it for me.
Excellent. Oh, that's awesome. I'm glad to hear that. By the way, are you? I was looking at the metadata documentation, and the one that you're running right now is what you call V1, or V0, or still V0?
V0 is the one we're moving away from. So V1 says draft simply because we haven't cut the release yet, but the master branch of all the dashboards projects are doing V1. Yes.
It's using V1. Got it. Perfect.
Cool.
Thank you. Darian, I think you're next because Carol left a note, but she's not actually in the call. She just left her notes.
I don't have anything particularly exciting to report. I'm just writing some tests for the console and for the cells, the notebook cells components, and for the output area, and for some of the phosphor components. And that's pretty much it. That's my plan for the week, and I've started on some of that already. Yeah, that's it for me.
No problem. Yeah, in general, as we have said, we don't need people sort of to report on everything they did. More like if there's something specific that they'd like to bring up or discuss, and the rest they can leave in the notes. So that's totally cool. Nobody should feel guilty for saying that they don't need to discuss anything specific. Anna, are you on the call?
Yes, I am. Hello, everyone.
Long time no see.
I know. The only thing I have, and it looks like Jason's typing some notes in the HackPad, is kind of talking about SciPy really briefly. So large Jupyter presence at that event, obviously. Brian is keynoting. Matthias is presenting a tutorial. Carol has the diversity luncheon that she's going to be leading. The students, the interns who started yesterday on their full-time summer work here at Cal Poly will all be in attendance. And it looks like Jason's putting some details about a session on Jupyter Lab. Is there anything else that we're doing at SciPy that I should be aware of? We are in the process of figuring out some additional we may have a social gathering or some kind of other events, but they're still in progress. So I don't want to talk about them just yet.
We're going to put together some stuff for the sprints, for doing some stuff in Jupyter Lab, as well as like a mini tutorial sprintish type session for writing plugins for Jupyter Lab.
Yep. Okay. Is that is there a time and a date for that yet, or is that still in progress?
The sprints are Saturday and Sunday, so it's probably going to be both of those during the sprint sessions are basically like a free for all. Everybody just kind of gathers in the basement of the AT&T conference center, and there's a bunch of rooms available, and we kind of break down into one of the rooms and work there.
Okay. Cool. That's it for me. Who's next?
I'm next.
Okay.
And thank you, Anna. So there are two things that I wanted to mention, and I have them kind of the reverse order in the notes. Let me move them up. The first one is for this Thursday. I had basically asked a favor of Jason, Chris, Sylvan, and others to give us a quick Jupyter Lab code design walkthrough for Matthias and myself, and Ian Rose, who's a new postdoc, a new Berkeley PhD student who agreed to join us as a postdoc. He's still finishing, so he won't be around much in the summer because he's still busy with his dissertation, but we'll introduce him later formally when he has more bandwidth. But he has a few cycles here and there, and Matthias, Ian, and I started playing with the Jupyter Lab code base a little bit more seriously last week, and we thought it would be very useful if we got kind of a walkthrough of the code. And I know that Jason and Chris and others are working on a lot of documentation for that over the next few months. But even before we have formal clean docs and tutorials written, just a hands-on, hey, here's where the code, how the code is structured. Go look at this file. These files do this. These files do that. This is roughly how the pieces plug into each other. That requires minimal prep from them, I think would be very useful. If anyone wants to join, if anyone is interested in having a look at that, please come on over, and we'll make sure to record it and post it so that this can serve as temporary sort of introductory documentation while more formal docs are developed. It could be useful for somebody else who would like to get an introduction. So Thursday, 1:30 p.m. And we'll post on Gitter exactly the location. Either Jamie, Jamie's had a meeting, so I'll probably host it on BlueJeans. And the second thing that I wanted to announce is that on July 22nd, 9 to 12 a.m., we're going to host a little online-only virtual mini workshop about Jupyter Hub deployment. So lots and lots of people out there are having increasing interest and questions about deploying Jupyter Hub. And we don't have the time or the logistical resources to do anything to organize a face-to-face meeting about this, but there seems to be a lot of pressure on this question. So we figured that having an online-only mini workshop would be useful. I posted some planning notes there. If anyone, my idea was to do something that would last only 3 hours, start with a longer talk by Min, something like probably 30 minutes or so, where Min can give kind of a big picture of Jupyter Hub, and then have various people, either from us or from the outside, from other people who are doing deployments, give short talks, 10-minute lightning talks, 10, 15 minutes at most lightning talks about this, and leave at the end 30, 45 minutes, a good chunk of time for questions from the public and discussion. So my idea was to do a hangout on air and then have a Gitter channel open through the talk, through the entire 3 hours, for people to ask questions about it, and then we'll just post that recording and any notes that we take. Does anybody have? So if you would like to give a short lightning talk, if you have a Jupyter Hub deployment at your company, at your institution, at your university, please add your name to the list. We'll announce that to the project mailing list. And does anyone have any thoughts on that idea? We're trying to keep it very low key, very simple. At most, what I'll do is get a conference room at Berkeley in case anyone else wants to come in person locally. But other than that, we're doing it purely online. Any thoughts? Anything from what I just said that people might think is a bad idea that we should change, that we should adapt? Yep, a note in the newsletter. That would be a good idea to just add a quick note in the newsletter before it comes out, so that we blast it. And since you guys are going to be, many of you will be at SciPy, I'm very sad that I won't. I can't make it, unfortunately. Please mention that at whatever relevant events you speak. Mention it to people so that people can follow. Do
And
I hear
Fernando,
no
I
objection?
think
Yeah.
I think you were still looking for an MC and then someone to run the actual online event. Is that accurate, or did that already get filled?
I hadn't. Oh, they're both needed. Someone did a very good job on those notes. That wasn't me. Convener. A convener. I can do it, but if anybody would like to help, that's great. I'm trying to not add to the logistic burden of anyone else on this. So I'm happy to do it if need be.
Okay, and I can help with the hosting of the actual online event. You probably want more than one person as the organizer. I've never, I've done other webinar type of presentations where I'm managing the technical aspect of it, but never this particular tool. But I can familiarize myself with it and maybe co-lead it with somebody else.
Okay. Would anyone be willing to give Ilana a hand with the Google Hangout on air? If so, please add your name to the hackpad, and then we'll need a couple of people to keep an eye on the chat channel because the people speaking, obviously. So we're going to let Google Hangouts. I think has a limit of, what is it, 10 or 15? Someone remember?
No, I don't know.
It has 10. Okay. Matthias saying 10. It has a limit of 10 people on the Hangout, so we'll probably only have the speakers on the Hangout live, and the public will ask questions via the Hackpad. There's a bit of a delay between the people who see the live are on the meeting versus the public who sees it via YouTube. There's a 40-second or so delay. So the public will be asking questions with a bit of a delay, which means that somebody needs to be monitoring the questions and then relaying them verbally so that the question gets recorded on the recording and bridging that gap. And so that will need attention from one or two people who are not speaking. But it should be pretty straightforward. It's just being on the meeting and having a Gitter window open and keeping an eye on it.
Fernando, if I know someone that might be interested in signing up, should they just put their name on that other Hackpad page, or? Yeah.
For now, let's keep it that way. Let's keep it very low key. Just add their name there with a very like a one-line description. Like Brian, if he decided in parentheses, like, oh, installation deployment using Ansible. Jess Hamrick is we put her because I had already talked to her about the Berkeley deployment. I might get somebody else to talk specifically about what they're doing in Berkeley in education. I think Andrea Zonka would be somebody that I'd like to have speak. Check with him. So yeah, just have them post. And if we end up with too many, we'll kind of we'll play with the schedule a little bit. We'll squeeze the slot times, or if worse comes to worse, we have repetition, two talks that are too similar, we may drop one person. But for now, let's assume that we won't have that many, because it really is about people who are doing a deployment and they want to tell people, this is how we're doing it in our environment. The main point of this is that there's no one-size-fits-all solution for Jupyter Hub deployments. It really depends a lot on what you're trying to do. And so it's more of an assembly of Lego blocks, and it's basically a showcase of how different people put the blocks together so that the users can get a bit of a gallery of solutions. So yes, please have them have themselves.
Cool, thanks.
Okay. Right. So I think that's it for what I wanted to go over.
Okay, so I think I'm next. Nothing fancy. I think I will slow down a bit on IPython beta because we have some bugs are hard to fix without a new release of Prompt Toolkit. So we'll try to polish that and probably make another beta in in 2 weeks maybe. So maybe we won't have a release before SciPy. We have to see that. I'm also slowly setting things up here with a new server we have at Berkeley, and I have a lot of side things to do here that are irrelevant to the meeting, so we can skip that. And that's it for today.
Jason, it looks like you're.
Yeah, I'm not next on the hackpad. I don't think there's anything I need to mention other than you know, I wrote an update in the hackpad.
Okay. Stephen, is there anything that you want to discuss?
No, we're just cleaning up the test suite with Darian and getting documentation ready both for the Cal Poly folks and in preparation for our talk at SciPy.
Okay, so that brings us to the bottom of the hackpad. Does anybody else have anything they want to discuss? Oh, I guess not. Well, we always said that we didn't need to make the meetings any longer than they need to be, so that people can get back to work. So thanks everyone, and we'll coordinate the activities for the Jupyter Hub development on list and on the hackpad. If you're willing to help with a couple of those sort of hopefully very easy jobs of staffing the chat channels or the Hangouts. Or helping with the Hangouts, please do so. And we'll see some of you on Thursday. So if anybody wants to join on Thursday, the little Jupyter Lab code walkthrough, just coming over. And I think Jason, we'll leave it to you guys to decide who folks you want to be there. From my side, it's mostly just Ian, Matthias, and myself because we want to learn. But anybody else is invited.
Right. I imagine Steve will definitely be there. I'll be there. Darren, you're welcome to come. I know it's kind of late for you. Chris might show up.
Yeah,
he said this time was good.
Yeah, I'll be there.
We can keep it low key and informal, but I think it'll be very useful. And hopefully it'll give you guys also a dry run of sort of how to explain and document the ideas. All right. Well, thanks everybody. Thanks, Jamie, for hosting, and we'll see you all soon.